Hi, my name is Tegan. I'm the USASA Club Support Officer. This video will take you through how to use the USASA website to manage your club. When you're elected as an executive, our team will set you up with organiser access to your club webpage. If you ever experience issues logging into the webpage or with any of the functions that I talk through in this video, please contact us and we'll be able to help. First things first, to do anything, you'll need to be logged into your account on the site. You can log in using the button at the top of the screen. This will take you to a sign-in page where you can enter your details. If you don't have an account, you can create one using the Create an Account button. And if you've forgotten your password, you can use the Forgot Password process to reset that. I'm going to quickly log in. Now that I'm logged in, I can see my name at the top of the screen, and now I'll be able to access the functions assigned to my account. Once you're logged into your account, you can then go to access your club page. There are a couple of ways to do this. You can use the club's drop-down to find your club. If you want, you can use the search bar to search for your club name, or you can simply scroll through and find your club. And then once you've found your club, click View Details. The other way to access this page is by selecting Account at the top of the screen and then Club Memberships. Here you'll see a list of any clubs that you are an executive of, and if you're an executive of multiple clubs, it's an easy way to toggle between the clubs that you manage. So we can click on the hyperlink there to go back to our club page. From this page, we can get into the back end of the site by clicking Administration and then Settings. To approve new members that have joined our club, from our dashboard, we click Groups and List. Here we can see our 2020 membership line item, and we'll click on Members on that. Here we can see our current and pending members, and to approve a new member, we simply click Approve next to their name. We can see that has been successful with this little box here. While we're in our current year membership group, there's a couple of other useful things we can do. If we go to the Main tab, we can see there's a tick box here that will allow us to automatically approve new members. Ticking this means that anytime someone requests to join their club, you don't need to manually approve them, they'll automatically be approved. If you do decide to use that, please make sure that you're still contacting your new members, as they still want to hear from you. And always make sure to save any changes that you make. I'm going to talk through forms and restrictions a bit later, but the other useful thing that you can do here is set up a completion email. So a completion email is an email that will automatically be sent to your new members when they're approved to join the club. So you can edit the text in here to include useful information that's relevant to your club. You might start by saying, thank you for joining. We're confirming your membership of the club for 2020 or what have you. You might like to include information that's relevant to your upcoming events and so on. It's important to know that once you create a completion email, you cannot delete that. So please make sure that you're keeping that up to date with the latest information. You have a variety of functions here that you can use to make your information more interesting, including links, emojis, and styles. And any change that you make, please make sure you save those. Next, we're going to add an event to the website. So we're going to click into the Events menu item. We can see a list of past events here, and we'll create a new one by clicking the New button. I'm going to enter the details for this event, make a URL that's friendly to the club, enter a little tagline and a longer description. And you also have the option to include images for your event. I'm going to add this banner. Then we'll hit Save. And then we'll enter event date. So you can add a single date. So we'll put this for a week's time, add the time. That'll automatically set the end time for 2 hours later. You can edit this however you please. We'll then create. Your event will appear down here. If you have subsequent event dates, you can add another one. Say, for instance, if this was happening every Friday, we'd create events for future days. Easy as that. Once that's done, this will appear immediately on the website. You don't have to do anything additional to make that happen. If we go to public site, we can see our event is now listed here. So we'll click into that and view details. We can see the location, event details are listed on the side, future dates are here, the name and the description and the picture we entered. This event will also appear in the club events list. So if we scroll through here, we can see that event appears there. If we want to make changes or edits to this event that we've created, we can do that at any time by going back to the event in the event list, selecting edit in the menu item, and then making additions or changes to any of the information we've included. You can also delete future occurrence of the events by clicking the delete all button, and that would then delete all of our events that we have listed. Next, we'll look at news item. So news item is exactly like events, but it doesn't have the option to add a date. So have the option to add an expiry date instead. This is when it would automatically be removed from the website. So say for instance, you wanted to advertise that you were looking to fill a position on your committee, you could set that to expire on the date of your meeting or similar. We'll hit save there now. You have the option to unpublish if you want to make edits at any time, and you can delete these at any time as well. We'll see if we go back to our public site, that news item has appeared there. We can see the information and who authored that, and when it was last edited. And we can delete that just as easily. Now we're going to update the information on our club webpage. To do this, we'll click Settings in the menu and Club Details in the drop-down. Here we can see a variety of input boxes where we can edit our information. At the top, we have name. This should only be changed if your club has voted to change the club name and has updated the club rules of governance. Next, we have reference. This will update your club URL. When you update this URL, you will update the URL for every page associated with your club on the USASA website. This includes the URL for any membership groups, for every event, for every news item, for every form, and for every store product and any additional pages that you have. This means that anywhere your URL has been included outside the USASA website must be updated as well. That might include the USASA website, your club Facebook page, your club Instagram page, your posters that might be printed. Once you've changed the URL, the old URL will take people to a 404 page not found error. For this reason, I strongly advise against updating your URL unless you really have to. Next, we have short description. This is where you can include a tagline for your club. Below that, we have description where you can elaborate on with more details about your club. Scrolling down a little further, we can see we have Facebook page name. So by entering your Facebook URL here, you will include a link to your Facebook on the front page. To do this, you want to copy the URL from your Facebook page and paste this here. Then you want to delete the front half of that URL. this function has already been set up with that front part of the URL, so you only need to include either the page name or the group number. As always, make sure you save any changes. If we then go to the public site, we can see there's now a button to connect on Facebook. And as always with anything, you want to check that that link works. So that's been successful. We can see that we've landed on the USASA Clubs page. We also have the option to add a Twitter handle if our club has a Twitter. And we have the option to include a couple of images. The image here where it says logo is the image that will appear in the clubs list. So all of these images are the logo image from that section of the website. We can see here we also have the option to include a header. This club currently doesn't have a header, so we'll add one now by selecting choose file and picking an image. Again, we want to save that change. And we'll go back to public site and we can see we now have a header image for the club. There are a couple of other boxes here. We have establishment date. So this is the date that the club webpage was added to the website. We also have AGM date. This is not really used in any function currently. And we have email address. Email address is where we want to include the club generic email address. If you go to the public site again, this is included in this link here to contact the club. It's also where any membership notifications are sent and is sometimes included in outgoing emails. So we really recommend keeping that generic, as you don't want to be overwhelming your personal inboxes with information about the club. If you scroll back up to the top, you can see categories. And we can see you have the option to update the categories your club is included on the website. Once again, if you go to the search clubs function on the front page, if you select drop down and say, for instance, a campus, it'll include the clubs that have selected the category. So we can see we're not currently included in City East. We might service City East as a club, so we can update that to include City East. If we update that there and click City East and apply, we can see our Choose Club is now included there. So that's all of the useful functions that you can update and edit to keep your club page up to date using the club details settings. So now we're going to send our members a communication. To do this, we're going to select communication and then list in the menu. So we can see here we have some draft emails that we've created, one scheduled email we have ready to go out, and some sent past emails below as well. So to create a new email, we're going to click new at the top and we're going to enter our campaign name. In most cases, it's easiest if this is the same as the subject, but you can use this if you want to determine this email with an internal system as well. So next we want to include our body. I personally prefer to draft my emails in Word and then drop them in, but this is up to you. You can write directly into this box as well. So I'm going to first separate this out with some spacing so it's a little bit clearer and easier to read. And then I'm going to use some of these tools here to make this email look a little bit better and easier to follow. So I'm going to bold and italicize some of these headings. I'm going to make this here a list using the numbering. I've mentioned Facebook in here, so what I want to do now is make that a hyperlink. So I'll grab the URL from Facebook and highlight that text and use the link button here to include that as a hyperlink. So now we can see that's linked there, so our members will be able to click directly on that to find the event page. Going to include a little smiley face. You do have the option of editing the font size, color, background color of this email. But I'm going to leave this a little bit plain today in the interest of saving time. The one last thing I will do is insert a picture. So you have the option to drop an image in here, but first we need to grab the URL for that. So I'm going to save this email by selecting next. This takes us to the recipient page, which we'll go through in more detail shortly. But I need first to find the file. And I need the URL for this. So what I'm going to do is select this hyperlink and copy the URL at the top in the URL bar. I'll navigate now back to the email that I've drafted. And we can see that waiting here. And I'll edit that there. So now we can select this image box here and paste that URL that we copied. We'll save that in there now, and we can see that that is quite nicely sized. If you need to edit that image, you can do so by right-clicking and selecting image properties. And then you have the option to adjust the width and height. I'm pretty happy, so I'm going to leave it as is for now, but you can play around with entering numbers in those boxes to edit the size of your image. And I'll hit OK. So I'm really happy with how this looks now. So I'm going to select next. And now I have the option to choose my recipients for this email. So you can include people based on their membership status. In this email, I only want to include current members. You also have the option of sending an email to, or sending a communication to your past membership group. So if you show expired, we can see our 2019 membership group there. This is really handy if you wanted to send past members an email to remind them to renew their membership for the new year and so on. This event is only for current members, so I'm going to select my 2020 membership group, and we can see that adjusts the total projected recipients to 4. I'm going to then select next. This takes us to the preview page where we have the option to send ourselves a test email before we send this out to the greater public. This is optional and you don't have to do it. To do it, you just type out your email address and then select send email. But I'm going to skip on that today. So we'll select next again. And we have here the option to either send this message now or later, so you can schedule it for a future date or time if you're particularly organized, or you can select to send that now. I'm going to send that now by hitting the send button. It takes us to a status page, which lets us know this email is sending, and we can see that that's gone out now. And we can see it was sent out to 4 people. It's been sent, the date and time that it was sent, and that's been successful. So we'll navigate back to list, and we can see that that's now been sent there. If we were instead to schedule this email, it would appear like this until the time the email was scheduled to send. And then it would switch to this date, timestamp, and sent status. So that's how we send a communication. One other handy thing that we have in here is the opportunity to clone an email. This is really handy if you want to resend this email to send it out to people maybe a second time or closer to the event date or so on. You would just clone that email and then go through the process of clicking next and getting, selecting your members and previewing and sending again. So yeah, that's how we use the communication function in the website. So next we're going to create a form. To do this, we'll select form in the menu and list in the drop down. Here we can see we've got a couple of other forms already on the go, but to create a new one, we want to select new at the top. And then we're going to start entering these details. So this form is going to be for the Cheese Fan Club Cheese of the Year competition. And we're going to enter a friendly URL. If you're printing this on posters, you might like to keep this as something quite short, but if you're only promoting it online, it might be a little bit longer. Below this, we have a limit on the number of responses we can receive. So we can set that to any number that we like. Say, for instance, you only want a small number of responses. You can be specific about the number you receive, or we might increase this if we're not concerned about receiving too many forms. Next, we have maximum responses per user. So this sets the number of responses you can receive per person that is logged into the website when they submit it. So you can see here maximum responses include approved, pending and rejected forms. So if you expect that people might make a mistake, you might put this as like 2 or 3, but if you don't care how many responses you receive per person, you can add a couple of zeros in there, and then that's fine as well. So next we have access. So this will collect information about the person who's submitting the form if they are logged into the website. So we can say we only want people that are logged into the website to respond to this form by selecting user, or we don't care if they're logged into the website by selecting public. And in that case, it will automatically collect the data from people who are users if they are logged in when they complete the form. So I'm going to leave this as public for the moment. Next, we have custom start text. So what we will do there is enter some information to explain to people why they should fill out this form. So I'm going to enter nominate your favorite cheeses for the awards night, and then the option to add some custom text as well. So you can enter more information at the bottom. That's really up to you. And then finally, we have completion text. So this is a page that people will be redirected to once they've submitted their form successfully. And it will say, thank you for your feedback. Your form has been submitted. You can change this if you like as well. At the bottom, we have this tick box active. So whilst you want people to be able to respond to your form, that box needs to be ticked. If, say, for instance, the Cheese of the Year competition has closed, we might untick that so that people can't keep entering responses. I'm going to hit continue now, and this will save our form. We've created the form successfully, and now we have the option to enter some questions. So we're going to start by getting people to enter their cheese in a category. Below that, we have the option of if this question is required or not. So if this is unticked, people don't have to respond to the question. They can leave it blank if they want to. In most cases, you want people to respond to the questions that you're asking them. So we're going to leave that as required. Here we can add some help text to help give more context for this question. For instance, we might say, select a category for your nomination. I always recommend saving as you go when you're creating forms. It's always good practice to keep saving. So at the bottom here, we have the option to select a type. So this will determine what type of question that you're asking. In this case, we want people to select a type of category that they are entering their cheese in. Okay, so those are going to be our categories. You can continue adding options if you like. And then we're going to hit save again to save that question. And then we're going to add a question below that. So we'll get people to enter the cheese name. And we'll give some help text again for that one. You can format this help text if you like, including links if you want to give people links to pages, etc. But I'm not going to do that in this video. And at the bottom, we have the choice again to enter the type of question we want. So in this case, we want people to write the name. We don't want that to be paragraph. We only want it to be one line. So we're going to leave that as text box. Our next question will be to get them to upload a question, upload a picture of their cheese. So in that case, we want to select file upload, which will ask people to provide an attachment. And finally, we want to give people get people to give us some information about the cheese that have nominated. So we're going to select paragraph in this context. If you haven't asked people to include their name and contact details by selecting the user only access option on the front page of this form, you might like to get people to enter their contact details. And we can select email. And this will give you the option of using this contact detail for completion and communication emails. And that's really handy if this form is open to public. So we're going to hit save there now. And then go to question dependencies. So this will give you the option of having specific questions only be answered if the person who's submitting this form has completed certain information. So for instance, if we only wanted pictures of the cheese of the year category, well, we could do that. I'm going to leave that as it is so that I can show you what that looks like on the front end. You're going to hit save there and then go to completion email. So this is an email that will be sent to people when they complete this form successfully. So if you tick this, it will open up an email field for you to complete. In this instance, you might want to send people an email thanking them for their nomination for the competition, and then telling them maybe when the awards night is or so on. So that's up to you whether you use that. And next we have notification email, where you can enter an email address. So this is a notification that would be sent to, for instance, yourself if you enter your email address, letting you know that someone has submitted a response to your form. If you're expecting a lot of responses, this might not be a good idea to tick, as you will get a lot of emails. But if you're only expecting a couple, or you just want to keep an eye on what's happening, it's really handy to receive those. So I've entered that email address there, and you can add as many as you like. And we're going to hit communication. So communication is an email that will be sent to people at the specific time that you create this communication. So unlike the completion email, which everyone will get when they submit their form, this is only sent at a specific time. And then responses. So this is blank right now because we haven't received any responses to our form. Once we receive responses, we're going to have this information here fill up, and then you can export that file and see that information. And then finally at the end, we have report, which will generate some information about the responses you receive. When you're using your form, you can determine whether this is useful to you or not. So going to go back to main and copy this URL, and we're going to check out what this form looks like. Delete that in there. Hit save again. And we're going to open up this form in a new tab. So we can see this is what our form looks like now that we've created it, and now we can fill out a response to it. So we're going to select a Cheese of the Year winner, and if you remember, we selected to have the dependency to upload a picture based on that. So when we select that option, that opens up that question. If we select another option, that will disappear again. So we'll enter our response to the hard cheese of the year, Mercy Valley Classic, and enter some generic information. Okay, and then we're going to hit submit. So here we can see they've received thanks for your feedback. Your form has been submitted. So that's what anyone submitting your form will see. If you select your completion email at this point, they would also receive that email. If we go back to edit form and refresh this page, we can see we've now received that response there. So we can see the user was me when I submitted that, and we can click in to view that response. And these are the details that we provided. If we go to report, we can see now that's when the person first responded. And if you expand these, it will tell you a little bit of data about the responses. And finally, if you go back to responses, you can then export your response data into an Excel spreadsheet. This will take you to a job details page, which will download the file. So we can see that's what this looks like now. All the answers to our questions are here as well. And we'll click out of this page here. So that's how we create forms. It's quite a useful function. People might use this to do a variety of things, such as managing a competition or running a suggestion box online or collecting emergency contact details. A lot of people use this to collect information about names for jumpers and things like that for merchandise as well. So yeah, there's a lot you can do with this, and it's quite useful once you figure out how to use it. So now I'm going to talk through a couple of different functions that we have on the website. So I'm going to talk through pages, menu, and files. So we're going to start with pages. So to enter pages, we'll click pages and then list in the menu. And this will bring us to our page list. We can see we've got a couple of pages in draft here and one that's published to the site. If you want to edit or change those, you can just jump in using the edit button and make alterations. I'm going to start a new page by clicking the new button under the pages heading, and that will open a field box for us to start entering our details. So I'm going to enter the name. This will automatically pre-fill the title and the heading, although you can alter these to be different. I'm going to leave those the same in this circumstance. And then we'll create a friendly URL. Next, we'll enter our content. as with other sections, you can pre-write and copy and paste from Word, or you can simply enter the text in here and use the functions to then format it. So I'm going to format this a little bit, adding some styles. And I'll make those bold. And I'll make the text central. And I want to make this text a little bit bigger. Okay. Next, we can save a draft. And then to have a look at what we've created, we can hit save and preview, which will open the field in a new page. So this is what we've created. I'm not quite happy with this yet, so I'm going to close this window and continue editing a little bit. So I'm going to add a space there, and I'm going to make this text black, just to be a little bit more easy to read. And I might make these a little bit bigger as well. Okay, let's save and preview, and we can see that there now. I'm now happy with how this looks, so I'm going to close this, and now I want to publish this page. To do that, I want to change this save action here from draft to publish. We'll set that, and then when we hit save, we will have published this for public consumption. Now we can hit view, and instead of being a preview, this is the actual page that our members and members of the public will see when they click into this page. So this isn't automatically linked anywhere, but if people use either the page URL or the friendly URL that we created, they will find that page. But what we want to do is make this easier for our members to find. So to do that, we're going to go to menu, and we're going to add item. We're going to add our text, the title for our menu item, and I want that to be the same as the page name that I've created, and then we can select type. There are 3 different types here, so we have page, URL, or heading. In this case, we want to link this to a page, and we want to select from the page drop down past award winners as our page that it links to. Then we'll click save. Now if we click public site, we can see that we've added past award winners to the menu, and people can access that from our club page. So that makes things a lot easier to find. Just being a URL might be quite difficult for people to find, and we want to make it as easy as possible. So now that we've done that, we can go back to list, and we can see our page is here. So we can go back in and edit this at any time, and we can delete this if we want to as well. If we do delete this for whatever reason, you can click delete here, and that will disappear. You will need to make sure that if you delete something from the list, you then delete it from the menu, because otherwise it will link to a page that does not exist, and we don't want people to be landing on dead ends on the website. So if we go back to pages and list, and we want to find that page that we've deleted, we can do that. Nothing is really ever truly deleted from the website. So if we edit this advanced filter to allow for any pages to appear, we can see we've got this page here, and we can restore that by clicking the restore button. So now that exists in public again. So there are a couple of other things we can do with pages. So we've got this AGM minutes page here. So we've got this line here, and it doesn't really mean anything currently. So I want to change this to download the 2020 AGM minutes here. So we want to create this as a hyperlink to allow our members to access our minutes. And to do this, we want to firstly save that change that we've made and then go to files. So that to be able to link to a file on our website, we need to first add the file to the website. So we want to upload that here by selecting upload and then clicking this box here. We then have the option of inserting images and inserting files. So I'm going to select the file that I want and open that. And now that will download and enter our file list. So in this circumstance, we want to copy the short path or short link to the file that we want people to access. And we want to go back to our page. Go to edit and select the text we want to hyperlink, and then select the link box and paste our short file. Because it's internal, it's on the website already, the website will automatically pick up the location of that, and then when you hit save and then view, members of the public will be able to open that file. So adding a file to the website is as easy as that. If we go back to menu, I mentioned there were a couple of other types of pages that we could add. So something that we can do is, instead of linking to a page, is to link to a URL. So create a link to our nomination form for the Cheese Awards. Already copied this URL, ready to go, and then we'll hit save. Just as an example, I will show you the heading option. This is not creating a link, it's just creating a heading in the menu. We'll save those changes there now and go back to public site, and we can see that they've been added here. So this URL has been linked to a form on our website, and this, so this has linked to a form on our website. We can see that form there. If we go back, we can see we've created this heading. I'm not quite sure what you might use this for, but you can add a heading to the website menu. Go back to menu. I'm going to remove that now because it doesn't serve a purpose, and click save to that change. So there we have it. There's a couple of different things you can do using the website, the functions pages list, or pages menu and files. So that's my guide for using the USASA website to manage your club. If you have any questions or need help with any of the functions that I've talked through, please send us an email and we'll be sure to get back to you with more details. Thank you for watching.